Good morning. Yeah.
Welcome back to The Insider. I'm Rob Sterner. This one's been a tough one this week to try to come up with exactly what I wanted to say, and I've been struggling with it all week. So if I ramble a little bit, you'll have to bear with me here. So first bullet point I've got on my list, are the Islanders relegation bait? Maybe. Right now, we're 5 games into the season, and the Islanders are down 0-5. 0 wins, 5 losses, excuse me. There's 6 games to go, so who knows how this is going to go. So, my assessment of the problem. I'm going to preface all of this by saying I'm a fan of the game. I want the Islanders to do well. I played soccer at a very moderate level way back in the 90s in high school. So, grain of salt with all of this stuff here. This is just me telling you what I'm seeing. Against the Cosmos last week, they were solid for 60 minutes. Not a huge amount of threat going forward, but we had more of the chances. But defensively, the team was tough to break down, forcing Cosmos into shots that weren't much of a threat. At 73 minutes, we had the own goal, which was really unfortunate. The keeper's really solid up to that point. Just a brain turned off blunder sort of moment. But after that, they kind of cracked. So we'll have to see what they can kind of do going forward here. But ultimately, I think it comes down to goals. They're not scoring many. So they've been shut out. They were shut out just one time in the fall, and they've been shut out now 3 out of 5 games. So we're just not putting the ball in the back of the net. In the fall, we scored 19 games all season. And then back in the spring last year, now we were down in D1, but we scored 30 goals. My gut reaction is that when we do have somebody going forward, especially when they're out in the wings, we don't have any guys or enough guys in the box. Part of the thing that makes the kind of system that head coach Johnny Morris wants to run, the 4-2-3-1 system, is you end up with overloads either on the outside, but also once you get forward, one of the midfielders also goes forward. So you've got 4 guys up front, you add 1 more out of the midfield. Now you've got 5 to potentially the 4-person back line. You're overloading. And if you can get maybe a wing back in or something like that, next thing you know, you've got way more. And it just doesn't seem like there's enough guys getting into the box to create the chaos, to pounce on something when there is a rebound, put defenders under pressure, and then maybe get a fluke goal here. They all count as goals on the score sheet. It doesn't matter how they went in, off your knee, off your head, off your butt. Doesn't matter. They go in, they score. And then last spring, part of our big identity was we were a high-tempo, high-pressing team, lots of pressure, make the other team think once they're on the ball and give them no time to think, really make them work hard. And maybe it was a little scruffy at times and certainly scrappy. We did have one game in the spring where the opposing team had 2 red cards. It ended up being very chippy, but that was part of our identity. Against the Cosmos, for example, we were more reactive. We sat back. It was that mid-block. We were happy to let their back line knock the ball around. It's a different style of play, and it seemed to work there for about 60 minutes, but it seemed like even in the fall, when there were teams that we felt that we should go out and push them around, we should dominate possession, and we were pressing them, and we don't seem to be doing that nearly as much. And that may be by design. Hey, let's sit back, let's let the game develop and attack out of that. We'll be a counter-attacking team. But I think sometimes it feels like we're making it a little too easy for the opposition to play it out of the back. The Cosmos defenders were pretty comfortable knocking the ball around, and they just needed, ultimately, if it hadn't been for the own goal, they would have had that one moment of brilliance, and it would have been one shot that went in out of 7 maybe they had total all game. And it'd be heartbreaking, but you know what? We'd take that because that was a brilliant shot. So take a look at the games going forward here. This week, they're off to Ironbound SCP. Ironbound has a 2-3 record. They're at 7th, and they have just come off a loss 4-3 against PA Prime. So they do give up goals. There's an opportunity here. Yeah, they're a mid-table-ish sort of team at the moment. Ironbound did have a pretty good team in the fall. We had a pretty good battle against them. They did beat us in the fall. But I think this is one of those opportunities to go out there and really attack things and see if we can start putting some in the back of the net. I think it's going to be, I'm hoping anyway, I think it's going to be like a dam busting. Once you get one and they start to believe and you get the second one, next thing it's okay, hey, we can do this. And they're going to have some game, I'm hoping, I'm betting, they're going to have some game, they're going to put 4 or 5 up on the board, and it's going to be like, all right, this is us. This is what we can do. After that, the Islanders are back home on the 16th against Kensington. Kensington's 1-4. That's probably, if we don't come away with a win against Ironbound, Kensington's going to be the place at home there. Probably the best chance for a win thus far. And they're coming off their first win over Five Rivers, who just came up from D1. Then it's off to an away game at PA Prime. PA Prime at the moment are 1-3 and in 10th place. Another solid place for a win. And then it's back home, back-to-back games here for the Islanders. Five Rivers, as I said, they're just coming up from D1. They're doing kind of okay-ish. They're 1-3, and it's Philly Lone Stars, our last home game. That's the international night. That's our World Cup night. Philly Lone Star is 4-0-1. They're in second place chasing Cosmos B. They just dropped their first game of the season, 2-1 against UCFSC Warriors, but they've had 3 2-1 wins. So it's really tight games. They seem to be able to eke those out. So that is very much another team I think they could potentially shock them. Like it was very much in our hands to do that against Cosmos, that we could have come away with a win there, or at the very least a respectable draw, as they say. And the last game of the season is away at UCFSC Warriors. At the moment, at the time I'm recording this, they are 1-3 in 9th place. So there is a possibility here for a number of wins. So could the Islanders clean things up there at the end of the season here and end up with a 5-0-6 record? Yeah. Would that be enough to save them? Sure. We'd end up being probably mid to lower end of the table, but out of relegation zone. If it goes the absolute opposite direction and the trend that the Islanders are on right now, losing every game, scoring a goal very infrequently, and we go 0-11, yeah, we're definitely not staying up. It's not that they've forgotten how to play. These are all really good players. They've all had success either with the Islanders or in their collegiate or high school levels. And head coach Johnny Morris, he's the one that got us here. For me, I don't really have a say in this. I'm a volunteer with the organization, but I don't really have a say on who's working where and anything. This is what I'm feeling. Yeah, I'm going to back the guy. I really like Johnny Morris. He's a smart guy. He works really hard. You got to hope. You got to pray. You got to be optimistic here. So they've had some bad results turned into a little bit of a trend, and now they're in a funk, so they got to find a way to get out of it. They got to find goals somehow. I was looking through the stats and things. We have 0 goals off set pieces. That's corners and free kicks. I put in throw-ins in there as well, where in the fall and especially in the spring, that was one of the things we relied on, that we kind of lean on. We even have a championship winning free kick. If you go back through the highlights there, we're missing that. We're not having those opportunities. We're not really getting those moments around the box to put us in those positions. And then when we do get corners, when we did dominate Cosmos when it came to corners, we just weren't putting anything really on the frame, having that scramble in the box. Just, I don't know whether you want to say it was the service or the people on the other end of it, the wind. We've had some really windy games, all of it together. Both teams are playing under the same conditions. We're just not putting the ball in the back of the net. To wrap things up here, they're off to Ironbound. The game in frame is going to be streaming it. I'll put a link down in the description. I'm an optimist. I'm here at school right now. This is actually my planning period. I am in a little booth in the back of my classroom. This is where we record podcasts. And I also have a little spot over here where we digitize the old Hershey broadcasters, old newspapers. So I'm an optimist, and I'm a fan of the Islanders. I fell in love with the team. That's why I keep doing this as a volunteer. I want them to win. But I'm also a teacher, so I have to kind of plan for the worst. I'm a little bit of a cynic and a fatalist because I'm a Gen Xer. And could they realistically be headed back to City Island with an 0-6 record facing Kensington and be really pressing, really desperate for a win and really clawing for it? Yeah, it's a brutal reality of the situation. I'm going to be pulling for them, and I hope you are too. I hope you tune in. And win or lose, I hope you guys come out to City Island and support the squad. We'll be back out there on the 16th. Game time is 6:30, a little bit later start. I'm pulling form. I hope you guys are too. I'm Rob Sterner. This is the Islander Insider.
This fortress was built by nature.